Eva Oliver. I'm an internal communications manager. I work full-time. I'm originally from Spain, although I've been here in England for a very, very long time. And in my life outside work, I'm a mum to 2 children. My eldest, who is 12, is severely autistic and learning disabled and non-verbal. And myself and my husband are her carers. And we also have a typical 4-year-old. So I've always enjoyed writing. I think since I was about 7 years old, it became kind of like a way to create another world, I suppose, where I would process emotions. I was missing it, and more recently I saw the opportunity to take part in a storytelling workshop with Carers Oxfordshire. The idea was to get a group of carers together online, and we were encouraged by course leader and chief storyteller Georgie to discover the principles of what makes good storytelling in a kind of fun and non-pressure way. The group met online once a week for a few weeks, and it's amazing how quickly you kind of develop the bonds, and we now consider each other friends. So after that, we are now in the process of running another session for the Wantage Summer Arts Festival on the 8th of July, and looking at other ways to kind of keep that bond of us as a team of carers and storytellers and keep meeting regularly. And I also had a day off for me, which is something I hadn't done in 20 years. Not a day off to go anywhere with my husband, or a day off to kind of fulfill life admin or to look after the children because it was an insert day or whatever, but I had a day off for myself. I went to see some art exhibitions, I took myself to have some lunch, I did some window shopping, and similarly I had another day off with a friend yesterday, and it felt brilliant. It feels like in a way sort of helped start a revolution, just because it gave me permission to think about things. And if you're running on a kind of day by day life mode scenario, you don't always have the space to think about how are things, how do you feel about things, how would you like things to be.
Okay. And what was it, do you think, about taking part in the storytelling course that has made that change?
I felt there were other people like me, and I could talk to them. I could tell them, these are my emotions, these are my thoughts. Nobody would judge me. Nobody would think I'm crazy or unfair or faulty as a human being or anything. And it sort of gives you a safe space to take some risks. And then you think, well, if the next thought that popped into my mind is other things that I always wanted to do, but I never got to do. And I now think, is there a real reason why I haven't done them? Is there, if something that is expensive or incredibly time consuming, I may not be able to do. But I'm talking about little things like I wanted to wear a jumpsuit, but I didn't have a jumpsuit, so it sort of made me think, okay, I'm gonna go and find the jumpsuit. But yesterday I found the jumpsuit, it's on the washing line today. So just trying to sort of think about small things. And the next thing is, I want to write something. I want to have a one woman play in a theatre festival. I'm gonna write. I've written 1 page, but I'm gonna write it, and the worst thing they can say is no. If they say no, it doesn't matter. I'll find another outlet to do it, but at least I know that I have tried, even if my speed in trying these things may not be the same than if my life circumstances were different. I feel happier than before.
Do you think it's having a positive impact on the rest of your family as well, that you now are in a slightly different place?
Maybe it depends on the moment of the day.
Yeah.
I think I could see that change probably sort of bubbling under the surface before it manifested itself. and what the others have seen is a kind of big wave that's come out of nowhere. I've just seen like little by little sort of happening. So I think we are still going through a process of adaptation. But on the same hand, I mean, my husband is also a carer. It's slightly different because he doesn't work outside the house. He's a stay-at-home parent. But I also encourage him to take time for himself, and I think it's very helpful. In fact, that's what he's doing now. He's having a day out, and tomorrow he's going on a hike. He does do those things so that he's not just spending, well, he's still spending a lot of time doing housework and other things, but he's got other things to look forward to and to balance things out.
So he's also learning, he's doing the same thing, really.
And it didn't come naturally to either of us, because you're socialized to think, we got these obligations, we are parents, our child has got special needs, we can't do this. In fact, I was talking to him the other day, and I was trying to convince him to go and spend a few days. He's got a friend up north. I'm like, go for a few days, we'll organize, go for a few days, have a holiday, have a long weekend away with him. But he says, but he's got a child. I'm like, yeah, but he can have time away from the child. It's like, I'm trying to remove the obstacles for other people the same way that I was removing the obstacles for myself. Because then I thought, obviously sometimes there are obstacles, but other times the obstacle is not really there. And I remember years when throughout the whole year, maybe I only had 2 kind of, days out, not even a day out, a morning out on my own on a whole year. And now I'm thinking that probably at a certain level may not have made me very happy, but I didn't think there were any other options there. But I don't want to look back and sort of think, I don't know, I want to be a person that I think maybe didn't exist a generation or 2 ago, of a woman who worked and looked after the children and had time for her husband and had time for her friends and had time for herself. And that can be taxing, but at the same time I think if I create this person, it will be a good thing for myself. It will also be good for my relationship and good for my son, because he's 4, so he's learning about how the world works, and he needs to learn that you need to give things to others and you need to give things to yourself.
So you mentioned to me that your creative passion is writing.
Yeah.
So and obviously you've managed to rekindle that through doing the storytelling course. What do you think is the thing about writing in your case, but any sort of creativity, that can be helpful?
I think it sort of gives me the space to think about things, to process the things that are happening in my life. So I remember incidents, and then so a lot of my writing in the last sort of 6 years or so was inspired by my experiences living with my daughter, my experiences as a carer. And I remember things like going to the shops and people talking to me, but even people who knew me not talking to my daughter, or as if my daughter wasn't there. Incidents like, a day where we lived in another town then, and we knew there was a carnival, and whereas everybody was flocking towards the carnival, we were in the town centre because we had to do something that day, but we were desperately trying to get out before the carnival started, and it was getting harder. I mean, we don't drive, it was just walking, but it was the sheer volume of people who started trickling the other way, and the kind of starting of the noise and things. And it's that sort of fish against the current thing. And lots of episodes, it was similar to the episodes that the things that I was finding on the news. That was something that was bothering me, and the thought would stay with me, and the thought wouldn't go away until I did something about it. And I did something about it by writing and sort of questioning myself, why is this happening? There was another incident where we were on a bus and I could hear a person was upstairs. It was a double-decker bus. I could hear a person was upstairs with a learning disabled young person, and we were downstairs, and at the time my daughter was quite quiet, so we're not the focus of attention, but there was a father with a child. I can't remember how old the child was, and the child was sort of asking what's going on upstairs, basically, and the father said this person is not feeling well. But it was the fact that just thinking there are parents who don't want to talk to their children about the fact that there are people with disabilities or different abilities. It feels like a conversation that people, afterwards I wrote a piece called The Conversation, where I kind of asked people who had children to talk to their children about people with special needs or disabilities, because it feels like the world is not inclusive and is not going to be anytime soon.